Question 8. A 95% confidence interval is for mu based on a random sample from an approximately normal distribution. And that confidence interval is from negative 0.73 to 1.92. If we use this confidence interval to perform a test of mu naught, HO, mu equals 0 against HA, mu is not equal to 0, two-sided, which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion? So you can compare a two-sided test to an interval when you're dealing with percentages. So your confidence level, if you have a 95% confidence level for an interval, then that's going to be a complement with a alpha is 5%. Okay, so 0.05. If you have a 90% confidence interval and you're comparing it to a two-sided test, that's going to be an alpha of 10%, which is going to be zero point 0.1. So what we wanted to compare it with is the 5%, the alpha, if it's a 95%. So I'm already going to look at these 10% here and kind of get rid of them because that's not really how we can make our rejection or fail to reject based on that. So if you look at your interval, it says it's perform a random sample from approximately normal distribution. So we have our interval, and it's from negative 0.73 to positive 1.92. And if you look at our null and alternative hypotheses, you notice that 0 is kind of the number that we're comparing it to. Is it equal to 0 or is it not equal to 0? Now, if you look in your interval, you'll notice that 0 is in the interval. So if you construct an interval and 0 ends up being in the middle of it or just somewhere in there, then we don't have evidence to conclude that the mean is not equal to 0. Does that make sense? Like it's in there, so we can't prove it's not 0. So that transfers to a significance test where we cannot prove the alternative. In other words, we're going to fail to reject, okay? We fail to reject the null hypothesis because 0 is in your interval, okay? We do not have convincing evidence it's not 0, so we're going to fail to reject the null. In other words, you know, this is what we're saying is true essentially. So that's going to be option C. Well, it would be option C if it was 10%. So my bad, I gotta go down to D. We're gonna fail to reject HO at the 5% significance level because it was a 95% confidence interval. Okay. So we're not gonna reject, we're not gonna reject, we're gonna fail to reject, but not at the 10%. So cross that out. It's gonna be option D for this answer. There you go.